Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on Shadow AI. My name is Matt Greaves and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Southwest AI Solutions. We're a consultancy and training partner. We help organizations to adopt AI responsibly and successfully across their teams. Now, over the next 45 minutes, we're going to be lifting the lid on Shadow AI, explaining what it is, why it's becoming one of the fastest growing risks inside modern organizations today, and most importantly, what you can do to protect both your people and your business. We'll explore some of the real world examples of how unmonitored AI use is already exposing companies to data breaches, compliance failures, and reputational harm. And most importantly, we'll be covering some practical steps that you can take to help bring AI back under control through clear governance policies and internal training. Now, by the end of the session, hopefully you'll have a clear understanding of the risks, but also of the opportunities that AI presents and how having the right guardrails in place can help turn AI from a potential threat into a powerful accelerator for growth. So, sit back, relax, or buckle up for what I hope will be an informative session to help open your eyes to some of the dangers out there, but most importantly, how you can protect your people and your organization. Just a few housekeeping points before we dive in. We will be taking questions, so if you have any questions during this live session, please post them at the end and I'll do my best to answer as many of those as I can. Your microphone and your cameras should automatically be switched off, so please don't panic if you're trying to desperately find the off switch for your microphone. They should already be deactivated. And we will be filming today's webinar as well and making the webinar available to watch on demand. We will share a copy of the link to the recording with you all afterwards as well. So please do share this with any of your colleagues or anyone else across your organization who you feel may benefit from this session as well. Thank you. So just a heads up in terms of what we're going to be covering in this short session. We're going to have a look at AI. What is all the fuss about? We're going to have a deeper dive into Shadow AI, which is really the crux of what this webinar is all about, and explaining what it is and how it materializes in organizations. We're going to have a look at some real world examples of Shadow AI and the damage it's causing. And most importantly, how to protect your people and your organization through robust governance. Now, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but AI isn't coming. AI is already here and has been for some time. The danger is that your people may already be using it in the workplace, regardless of whether you have an AI policy or not. Now, AI itself, it's a massive change. It's a massive transformation for us as society, for us as business leaders. It presents a huge change to the way in which we operate our businesses and in the way in which we and our people work in our businesses. And it's easy to think that we haven't seen change on this scale in the past. But it wasn't so long ago that we did. We're just very used to not having seen it recently. It was only 25 years ago or so that the internet went mainstream. Before that, work was very different. We didn't have websites. We didn't have online applications and online tools. If we wanted to advertise our businesses, we would post an advert in Yellow Pages. If we wanted to find a business, we would spend the evenings scrolling through the Yellow Pages or the phone book trying to find a business that might offer the services we offer. The internet completely revolutionized how we operate businesses. Previous to that, in the 1990s, Microsoft launched their Office suite for the first time. And that was revolutionary for those of us that remember when Office first came on the scene. Before that, computers were very, very different indeed. You just had pretty much a black screen with green font on it. And there was no visual interface really to speak of. Most of it was very code heavy. And then suddenly we had this visual interface. We had Windows for the first time. We had this word processor called Microsoft Word. We had this Excel for data, for spreadsheets. We had PowerPoint. we weren't having to use these acetates and overhead projectors for presentations anymore. I remember a very long time ago, years gone by, colleagues of mine used to have 20, 30, 40 acetates in a folder. And literally when they were presenting a presentation on an overhead projector, they would literally have to switch the acetates over. PowerPoint completely revolutionized that. And we no longer had a need for acetates or overhead projectors in the same way. And then in 2006, with social media, Facebook first came on the scene. And again, that changed so much about how we communicate, both personally and from a business perspective. I don't know many businesses these days that don't have a social media channel to some extent. But this didn't happen overnight. And as businesses, we didn't adapt to these changes overnight. That took time. Certainly when social media first came on the scene, it took a while for businesses to really understand how are we going to use this from a business perspective. And even the tools themselves evolved over time. Facebook didn't suddenly launch on the market and have the ability for you to create Facebook ads and all the other marketing that you can do now. It evolved over time. And we're seeing the same with AI. We've got these incredible tools available to us on the market, but they are still evolving, and we are learning and evolving with them. So AI itself sounds scary. It sounds exciting. And it's easy to think we haven't seen change on that scale before, but we don't need to look too far back in history to realize that actually we've just had it very easy for the last 25 years with no major changes. But we have seen change on the scale before, and we all came out much better as a result of it. Absolutely, it had responsibilities, and we needed to make sure we're using this technology in the right way. But overall, society benefited from these technological jumps. And we're seeing exactly the same with AI. Now, there have been loads and loads of reports and research on the benefits of AI over the last couple of years. Now, I'm not going to spend the next 45 minutes going through all of those because we'd be here all day. But one report which I thought was particularly interesting was a project that Harvard Business School undertook with Boston Consulting Group. They did a piece of research on 758 of their consultants. Essentially, they gave half the consultants access to ChatGPT and said, go away, do your work, but use ChatGPT. And the other half, they didn't have access to AI or ChatGPT. And they just evaluated the results. And what they discovered, probably unsurprisingly, is those who were using ChatGPT had a 40% increase in the quality of their work. So we're not just talking about quantity. We're not just talking about the ability to do more and create more volume of work. We're talking about an increase in the actual quality of their work. They were completing tasks faster, 25% in fact, and they were able to complete 12 times more tasks than those who weren't using ChatGPT. And certainly the quality piece is an interesting one. And from a personal perspective, that absolutely resonates with me. I've spent 25 years in marketing and communications. A lot of my time is spent writing copy, whether it's copy for marketing campaigns, whether it's copy for websites, emails, press releases. That has been the bulk of what I've done for the last 25 years. I am more than capable of writing a good piece of copy, but it takes time, and you sit there with a blank screen and you have to start somewhere, and it can take time to get your head into the space, into the right zone. To write one side of A4, a really good solid piece of copy, it can take easily half a day. We don't have half a day anymore to do that. I certainly don't. And if we've got AI tools out there that can help, why wouldn't we look at that? I have to admit, from a personal perspective, I was skeptical as a copywriter myself. As far as I was concerned, no one could write copy better than I could, certainly not an AI tool. I was astounded by the quality of the output that I was receiving from ChatGPT. And even with my most polished well, as I thought, my most polished copywriting pieces, the quality that I was getting was so much better to the extent where I thought, actually, this is such a good tool. All I need to do is give it a prompt, give it a brief, put my working notes in there, let it create a really good piece of content, and then I just finesse it at the end. And that's exactly how I use AI tools now. Now, Microsoft have done a lot of research over the last 18 months as well. Unsurprisingly, they're really keen for us to be using Copilot, their flagship AI tool, which is baked into Microsoft 365. But it's really helpful. They've actually spent a lot of time undertaking research across businesses here in the UK in terms of what results they're actually seeing from using Copilot. And 70% of workers using Copilot are saying that it makes them more productive, and 68% saying that it's improving the quality of their work. So again, just reinforcing exactly the same sort of stats that we've seen from the previous slide. Now, what's interesting is, we are at the really early stages of AI, but there are already some low-hanging fruit tasks where AI can really shed the hours. And lots of that is geared around those administrative tasks, those tasks that involve lots of report writing, creating content, all of those sort of tasks that historically have taken a lot of time and require real high-level expertise, certainly in terms of writing copy, or if it's creating reports or documents, these sort of administrative tasks. This is where AI and tools like Copilot, ChatGPT can really make a big difference. And certainly the results from this report from Microsoft reinforced that most of the biggest value that people were seeing from AI was reduced time spent on administrative tasks. Now, what that meant is they could then focus their time on higher level strategic tasks. So by shedding the hours, by condensing hours of work into seconds or minutes, it was allowing their people to be able to do more higher value work. And this was from a report that Microsoft released earlier this month, actually, claiming that UK workers are saving £207 billion worth of time. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly how they get to that figure, but that's certainly a report that they published and put their name to earlier this month, in October 2025. Now, the fact is, AI is able to condense hours, if not days, of work into seconds, and that does correlate to a saving financially. If it's freeing up your time, your people's time, that correlates into the bottom line in terms of how much financial saving the organization is making. This all sounds great, and it is, certainly from our perspective, it's incredibly exciting. But with this new opportunity does come with it new risks that we, as business leaders, we need to be very much aware of and managing in our organizations. Now, the main business risk that we're addressing today is the issue of shadow AI. So shadow AI is where employees are bringing in or using unauthorized or unapproved AI tools into the organization. So this could be little Jimmy in the accounts department. He's been using his personal ChatGPT account at home, and he's decided that he's going to save himself a few hours in the workplace. And he's going to be, rather than having to analyze lots of financial data himself, he's going to upload it to ChatGPT, and it's going to help him analyze all of that data. That's a classic example of shadow AI. His personal account has not been authorized by the IT department. He doesn't have the correct security settings in place. He absolutely is going to be saving a lot of time, but there are hidden risks there in terms of how he's using, in this case, the AI tool and the data he's uploading to it. In terms of how widespread shadow AI is. This is not isolated to just a few organizations. This is effectively it's a pandemic across a whole uh, uh, of the digital world. It's not just here in the UK. Stats from the UK alone are suggesting that over 70% of UK employees have used unapproved AI tools in their course of work, and over half are continuing to use unapproved AI tools on a weekly basis. Now, we just reflect on that for a moment. That means potentially there could be half of your workforce using unauthorized AI tools in your organization right now. So why does it happen? Why are people using unauthorized AI tools in the first place? Well, historically, when you wanted a new piece of software, what you'd have to do is you'd have to buy a CD, you'd have to then give it to your IT department. They would have to physically install it onto the system, and then before you could actually use it. But now, all you need is an email address, and hey presto, you've registered for a new AI tool. Suddenly you have this incredible power at your fingertips. All you needed to do was to register your email address and set up an account. Most of them are free as well, or low cost. But even the more premium versions of tools like ChatGPT are about £20 a month. And if I can save myself a couple of hours a day or a few hours a week, then £20 a month is an investment I'm willing to pay for out of my own pocket. We're under pressure to deliver. We have more and more. We're under more and more pressure to deliver. We've got more and more work coming out of our ears than ever before. We are looking for a silver bullet. We are looking for that magic wand that can suddenly reduce hours of work into seconds, and AI promises all of that. Ultimately, your people are trying to save time. So those who are using unauthorized AI tools, those who are effectively using shadow AI, it's not due to malice. They're not trying to get the company in trouble. What they're trying to do is be proactive. They're using their initiative. They've found a way, they've found a tool that can help save them a lot of time, and they're using it. For many of us, AI is exciting. It's the next big thing. It's this new shiny tool that well, many people are talking about. You can't really get away from it. It is exciting, and if you're not talking about it, the chances are other people are talking about it. I know one of the ways in which I got into AI originally was because someone showed me what they'd done on ChatGPT. Hey Matt, have a look at this. Did you know ChatGPT can do this? And my eyes just almost exploded. I thought, this is incredible. So it's very difficult to hide and to not be exposed to AI in some course of work. Predominantly lots of people using it in their personal life to begin with, and then bringing it into the workplace. So 41% saying that's exactly what they do. 28% of people reporting that a company doesn't provide a work approved option. So as far as they're concerned, there has been no guidance on which tools to use or which tools not to use, and therefore they've decided to take it upon themselves to use whichever AI tool they feel is most appropriate, because they haven't been given another option. So what does shadow AI actually look like? How does it manifest itself in your organization? So this could be as simple as your people using their personal ChatGPT accounts for work. The dangers with that is the personal ChatGPT accounts may not have the security settings configured appropriately, and we'll talk a bit more about what the implications of that are in one of the next slides. This could be your team using an AI tool to help screen candidates for your recruitment process. So you're you're recruiting for a new job, and you're using an AI tool, but but you've identified that promises to screen candidates and give you a short list of the best candidates appropriate for the role. Now, again, if that's an unauthorized, unapproved AI tool, then that's creating a bit of a danger for your organization. It could be little Jimmy in the accounts department who is uploading your company financial data to a third-party AI tool that is helping him to analyze all that data. So rather than spending hours, if not days, having to conduct lots of data analysis in Excel, which, as much as we all love doing, is, I'm sure there are other things we'd much rather be doing. I know certainly little Jimmy would. So he's using that tool. And yes, it's absolutely saving him a lot of time. But it's also exposing the company to all sorts of risk. It could be that you are undertaking meetings and someone has decided they're going to use an AI note taker to summarize the meeting, take meeting minutes and actions. And on the face of it, that's a fantastic idea. And yeah, absolutely, that's a great tool to be using in the right way, as long as you have the right guardrails in place. Without the right guardrails in place, it presents, again, all sorts of dangers for your organization, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. So just carrying on that theme of an AI note taker in a meeting, let's imagine this scenario. So you have a board meeting and one of the members of the board decides they're going to use an AI note taker, because that means we don't have to bring little Jimmy in to record the minutes today, and no one else on the team really wants to, write the minutes. I mean, it's not the most exciting job in the world. I know from experience. So why not use an AI note taker? It will save us all the problem of having to write minutes, remember the actions, and then actually having to type those up at the end of a meeting and tidy them up and circulate them. So on the face of it, great idea. Really good to use your initiative to bring something like that in. However, that does create a number of issues if it is not a tool that has a right security in place. What no one realizes in that meeting is that the AI tool that they're using has not been approved or vetted by your organization's IT or compliance teams. It's just an AI tool that someone has found online and decided, well, sounds like it does the job. What's happening is all of the audio from your meeting is being uploaded to third-party cloud servers, probably not in the UK, could be anywhere, and they're being uploaded to those servers and stored on those servers, where they will be used probably to train the AI model and could be stored indefinitely. So all that confidential information about the company's strategy, staff restructuring, salaries, sensitive information about the company, that's all being stored effectively on a giant digital encyclopedia somewhere where you have no control over. And it won't have any contractual safeguards around confidentiality or data privacy. So all of that information has just left your organization. The result is that information has gone out of your secure environment. You have no control over what is happening to it. That could result in GDPR breaches, data leaks, all sorts of exposure, which is all sort of bad stuff that really, you don't want to be thinking about as a business. It's an extra headache that you really don't need. So why is all this a problem? Well, just kind of following on from a previous slide in terms of what that means. Data breaches, uploading client or staff information into public tools could result in data breaches. So all that hard work that you and your team have done to make sure that you're compliant for GDPR, which for many of us was, a necessary evil and, absolutely needs to be done. But let's face it, a bit of a headache. Suddenly all that hard work has gone out the window. Exposing your organization to increased risk of cybersecurity. If you have no control over what AI tools your people are using, you have no control over how secure those tools are. They may have weak protections, and it could open up your organization to all sorts of cybersecurity issues. There are also legal implications, and we're seeing more of this coming through. And to be honest, this is really welcome that we're seeing more legal requirements in relation to AI, because what it means is we're getting some structure, we're getting some governance, we're getting some guidance on how AI should be used and adopted in organizations. The first of those really is the EU AI Act, which came into force recently, and we'll be covering that briefly on a later slide with a bit more information. And reputational damage, again, this is a headache that no business leader wants, certainly no marketing or PR person wants. I know from experience, this is not something you want to be having to mop up, is having bad negative headlines in the press. So for all of these reasons, this is why it's important to be aware of what shadow AI is and to make sure you're putting in controls to minimize it as much as possible, which we're going to cover very shortly. So ultimately, what we're saying is that with shadow AI, you have no control over what AI tools your people are using, what data they're uploading, and where that data is being sent and stored. Overall, the biggest risk isn't AI itself. It's not AI itself that's the problem. The biggest risk is not having any governance policies or controls in place in your organization in which to control how AI is or is not used. Yeah, so you don't get a sudden alert or a sudden message pop up on your computer to let you know that someone's about to introduce a risk or start to use shadow AI in your organization. Did you want to continue? Unfortunately, you don't get that warning notice. The first you'll hear about it is when there's an issue. And unfortunately, at that point, it's already too late. And I just wanted to pick up on a few cases that have hit the headlines lately. So in a recent Sky News investigation, it was found that GPs in the UK were using unauthorized AI tools to record patient conversations. Now, GPs are under immense pressure. And if there are AI tools out there that can help save time in terms of recording patient meetings and typing up meeting notes, then understandably, why wouldn't you want to be using those AI tools? Unfortunately, it meant that all the data from those transcripts were going outside of the organization, which could potentially cause all sorts of data issues, as we've seen on the previous slides. In addition to the potential risks to the organization that we've already highlighted, the other danger is that it impacts the ways in which staff are open to using AI or not across the organization. So if people are suddenly being told that they need to stop using AI in this respect, you can understand why that can cause confusion and why people may shy away from wanting to use AI tools in the future. And as organizations, it may be that we want to encourage our team and to embrace AI and to be using AI. So issues like this can really have a negative impact on people's perception of AI in the workplace. Another example I just wanted to highlight was a legal case that is currently rumbling on in the States, and this is a case Mobley versus Workday. Now, Workday are quite a large HR software provider, and one of the services they provide is an AI screening tool that was screening candidates for recruitment. So if you as a business were looking to recruit candidates for your vacancies, you could use this AI tool and it would automatically screen candidates through for your roles. Unfortunately, one of the candidates has brought a case against the organization based on age discrimination, arguing that the AI tool discriminated against him based on age. It sounds like there was no human oversight, so the AI tool was being left to its own devices to decide which candidates to put through and which candidates not to put through, and there's no human oversight there, and that has resulted in this legal case, which is not something any organisation wants to be going through. And I really like this quote from Darren Hardman, who's the CEO of Microsoft UK and Ireland, really acknowledging that UK workers are embracing and adopting AI tools like never before. And that's fantastic on one level, that people are being innovative and wanting to use this new technology, but he's really sort of emphasizing the importance of making sure that's used in the right way and using AI tools that have that enterprise grade security to really help business leaders sleep at night, because anything that's being put into those AI tools has the security and privacy that your organization needs. So just recapping on where we've got to so far, I think it's fair to say the AI train has most definitely left the station. There's no going back in the box. AI is undoubtedly reshaping the way in which we work and the way businesses operate. It really is transforming the way in which we work in the same way as we saw with the introduction of the internet and applications such as Windows and the Office suite when it first came onto the market. Chances are your staff may already be using AI tools with or without any oversight. And it's not just about the opportunity cost in terms of what else they could be doing with AI tools, but it's the danger of how long they're using these AI tools without ungoverned use. The longer you delay in not having a governance framework in place or an AI policy, the greater the risk to your organization. And I think I just want to kind of reiterate that you don't need to be technical to start your your AI journey. You don't need to be an IT expert. You don't even need to be an AI expert. You just need to be informed about the potential hazards, the potential risks to your organization, and just ensuring that you're putting in place measures to help control how AI is being used across your organization. So really, the goal isn't to stop your people from using AI. The goal is to create an environment in which AI can be used responsibly within your organization. And what that means is things like creating a clear AI governance framework, reviewing and approving tools centrally. So in the same way as you would have a recruitment process to authorize new recruitment opportunities, why not have the same process for AI? So before someone can actually appoint a new member of staff, you have to first get authorization to recruit for that role. Once that's been approved, you can then go out of a job advert, and then you can then assess which candidates would be most suited for that role. There's no reason why you can't adopt exactly the same process for new AI tools that are coming into the business before letting any new AI tools enter the business, making sure you've got a review and approval process to make sure they are fit for purpose, they have the security that your organization needs before you start putting them to work. Setting clear boundaries for what is acceptable use of AI and perhaps what's not acceptable across your organization, and making sure you're training your staff so they know how to use AI in the right way. So, how to identify shadow AI? So, one of the first things that is worth doing is trying to identify where is AI currently being used in your organization. And really, I mean, this shouldn't be seen as a witch hunt at all. This is more of a case of trying to identify, okay, where is AI being used and what can we learn from that? Because the chances are, if people are using AI already, there's some good AI use cases that you can then start to think about building into your overall AI strategy. Now, the AI tools they're using may need to change based on what levels of security you want across your organization, but it can be a great way of understanding where people are using AI and for what purposes. So one of the first things to do is to ask your people, issue a internal staff survey, find out where people are using AI, encourage them to be open and transparent. As I said, this isn't about pointing fingers. This is about understanding where the pain points are in your organization that people have taken to using AI tools to help save them some time. And the chances are those people that are using AI currently they could be your biggest advocates, your biggest AI champions moving forward to help you progress AI adoption across your organization. So identifying those people and bringing them on the journey is no bad thing at all at this stage. Ask your IT team to run an audit. They may be able to run an audit to find out where AI has crept in and where it's being used across the organization already. It's unlikely, but potentially staff may have paid for a subscription to an AI tool and put it against their expenses. So it might be worth checking your list of suppliers or expenses to find out if anyone has paid for a subscription to an AI tool. Again, it's unlikely if you've got really robust IT and cybersecurity in place, but with some AI tools, you can API into your organization's environment. Now, presumably, your IT teams would probably be already aware of that, so it's unlikely they'd be getting past your IT teams. But it's something to speak to your IT teams about to see if they're aware of any rogue AI that may have been API'd into your systems. And look for any common AI use cases. So the quick wins and the low-hanging fruit really for AI tends to be within departments like marketing, customer services, sales. These are probably your best go-to places initially to find out if people are using in those areas and what they're using them for. So marketing team perhaps using AI tools to help them write marketing copy, create marketing campaigns faster. Perhaps a customer services team, perhaps they built an internal chatbot to help respond to any FAQs that they're getting from customers. Again, these are great use cases that you can then start to build into your overall AI journey, so that when you have got those authorized and approved AI tools in place, you can make sure that you've got these activities baked in as well, so your team are supported with the AI. A few red flags to watch out for. So if your staff are already using ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini or Claude for work tasks, but you don't have an AI policy in place, then getting an AI policy in place is probably one of your first things you need to look at addressing. If no one is currently tracking which AI tools are being used or who's using them, then that's definitely something is worth starting to think about, making sure you've got that in place so you can track which AI tools are being used across the organization. If your team haven't been given training on your AI policy or how to use AI safely, then the chances are they may be taking matters into their own hands and deciding which AI tools to use. So again, that's a potential red flag to address. And if you don't have a register of AI tools in use, then that's a really good first activity to start putting in place so you can start documenting where AI is being used across your organization and for what purposes. So we've covered a lot about shadow AI and the potential risks to organizations. And what we want to focus on now is how we flip that on its head. So how we can be mindful of these risks and these dangers, but how we can move forward in a positive way so we can start to really embrace AI and take advantage of all the benefits. And the way in which we do that is putting in place robust AI governance frameworks. Now, before we delve into the structure of what a governance framework looks like, I just wanted to focus on two really common AI tools which you're probably already familiar with, your people may already be using to some degree, because for 85-90% of tasks that your people will be doing across the organization, one of these AI tools is probably going to do what they need. Now, if you are already using Microsoft 365 within your organization, then Copilot really should be your organization's first choice. Why do I say that? Well, because Copilot has already got all of the security built into it that is part of your 365 environment. So that means any information that your people are typing in to Copilot, any information that they are uploading, any documents they're uploading, they all stay within your Microsoft 365 environment. They do not leave your organization. So long as they are using their work account, then everything stays secure in your business's environment. That is a huge, big, fat, green tick in the box from a compliance perspective, and really, from a business leader's perspective, really can help with those sleepless nights, because you can be reassured that anything that is being typed in is not leaving your secure environment. The other real benefit of Copilot, which we don't have time to delve into in any great depth today, but is the fact that it's already baked into the Office applications you and your team are already using. So you can use Copilot within Excel, you can use Copilot within Microsoft Word and within PowerPoint, and you can do some incredible things within Excel and these applications using Copilot. So having to remember or write really complex formulas, those days are long gone. With Copilot, you can just ask it to do something and it will write the formula for you. There are some really cool stuff you can do within those applications using the power of Copilot. Now, the other tool that many of us are familiar with is ChatGPT, and I often hear myths and misconceptions around using ChatGPT from a business perspective. One of the most common I hear is that you can't use ChatGPT for business because everything you type into it is being used to train the model, and that's kind of a half truth. If you're using a personal ChatGPT account and you haven't configured the security settings, then potentially yes, anything you're putting in could be being used to train the model. However, just like Copilot, ChatGPT has a business license which has enterprise grade security, and it is compliant with GDPR. So if you as an organization have decided that actually we want to use ChatGPT across the organization, then you can absolutely do that. And the best way to do that is to invest in a business license for your staff to use it. And as long as they are logging in with their work account for ChatGPT, then you can rest easy at night knowing that anything they're putting in to the chat interface is staying securely within your organization's environment and not leaving your organization. Obviously, it's important that your staff don't use a personal ChatGPT's account because they won't have that same level of security. Okay, so let's take a closer look at AI governance frameworks, what that looks like, what you might need to start thinking about to start controlling how AI is being used in your organization. So it would be great if there was a how-to guide that told you exactly how you might want to implement an AI governance framework in your organization and what are the steps to doing that. And coincidentally, there is. IEC 42001 is a fantastic reference, a fantastic framework to help organizations implement AI in a responsible way across their organizations. It's a standard that we use when working with clients to help provide a framework to create a governance framework within their organizations. It includes things like defining an AI policy, identifying and managing AI risks, how to implement lifecycle controls and thinking about things like stakeholder engagement, and creating a safe, transparent framework for innovation. Now, creating an AI governance framework can help you to really start thinking about defining what is acceptable and what's not acceptable use of AI across your organization. It's getting you to think about defining clear rules. How do you want your staff to use AI tools across your organization? It's helping you to protect sensitive data from leaving your organization. It can help ensure compliance with legal and regulatory obligations. If you are already setting your organization up to have a governance framework in line with these standards, it means that when more regulation comes in, you are already geared up for that. You have already got the structure in place to demonstrate how you as an organization are adopting AI responsibly. Establishing roles and responsibilities. One of the main things is making sure that someone has overall responsibility for AI across the organization. For many organizations, AI can be a bit of a hot potato. No one really wants to take ownership for it, but it's vital that someone has overall responsibility, and that's agreed and documented, and that they are supported within the organization appropriately. Creating a culture of trust where your people feel confident to use AI in a secure way. So having a governance framework in place can help provide your people with a reassurance and trust that they are using AI in the right way. So one of the first things you really need to have in place, if you haven't already, is to create an AI policy. And this is really a document which can help you to define how AI should or should not be used across the organization. What's important is, once you've got the AI policy, not just putting it on the shelf and letting it collect dust, but actually proactively communicating that across the organization. Make sure it's easily accessible on your company intranet, on your SharePoint. Make sure you're mentioning it as part of your company town hall meetings or your team meetings. Make sure everyone knows about the AI policy and where they can access it. We mentioned on the previous slide, but defining roles and responsibilities. So in your policy, it should be documented who has overall responsibility for AI within the organization. We mentioned it earlier, but having it documented what that procedure is for bringing new AI systems into the organization. Establishing mechanisms for oversight of AI and accountability, and defining guardrails to protect sensitive data. So all stuff like this is really good to have in your AI policy. You might also want to think about establishing an AI committee or an AI steering group. And this can be a really good way of bringing people together across the organization and getting them involved in not just the adoption of AI across your organization, but supporting your team with AI, and also involved with the policy creation and helping to police how AI is being used across your organization. They could be the team that are reviewing any new requests for AI tools and either approving or rejecting those. They could be involved with supporting the training and providing internal training sessions to help the rest of your team with AI, and reviewing how AI is being used on an ongoing basis and making sure there is monitoring in place for that. It's easy to think that AI should only sit with IT, but it should absolutely have representation across the organization. So it's really important to have people from various different functions of the organization involved in this steering group, because AI is not just an IT function, it touches every part of the organization, and having representation from all angles of the organization is something that is really beneficial for a group like this. So you've got an AI policy and you've created your AI governance framework, which is fantastic. But don't forget about training your people. Make sure you're training your people on your AI policy. Rather than just emailing it and circulating it and expecting people to read it, why not run training sessions to tell them what is in the policy? See the whites of their eyes, make sure they've understood it. You might even want to consider documenting they've been through the training and recording that on their employee file, on their employee record. So you've got a record of who's been through the AI policy training. Also think about new starters. When new starters are coming into the organization, make sure that the AI policy training is included as part of their induction process. You wouldn't just hand over the keys to a brand new sports car to someone who has never been in the driving seat of a car before. In the same way, just because we've decided we're going to use Copilot across our organization, we shouldn't just assume that everyone is comfortable using it. Having training in place to help people with that, help them to understand how to use Copilot, how to prompt in the right way, how to create AI assistants, if that's something they're going to be doing, can all be really beneficial. And bring your people on the journey. This is a really great opportunity to let your people get involved. Absolutely, as business leaders, it's our role to set the strategy, to set the direction we're going. But why not get our people to help get us there and get them feeling engaged on that journey? So I touched on this a bit earlier, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this coming down the line, and certainly here in the UK. I can't imagine it'll be too long before we start to see some more regulation in this regard. But the EU AI Act is something to be very much aware of, even for us here in the UK. It's the world's first major legal framework designed to regulate AI systems. It can be easy to think that here in the UK, because it's an EU law, that we can ignore it. I would absolutely say don't ignore it. I think it's really important that we are aware of it for two reasons. Firstly, because if you have any involvement with the EU, if you are selling into the EU in any way, shape, or form, you have any involvement with stakeholders in the EU, then you may well be caught by the EU AI Act, and you are legally required to comply with it. Even if you're not dealing with anyone in the EU, this is the way it's going to go, and I think it's only a matter of time before the UK adopts something very similar. So by being aware of it now and starting to build systems and governance frameworks in place now, will help to future-proof your business when it does come down the line. As I said earlier, I think what we're going to see is something very similar to what we saw with GDPR. I think it's going to work in a very similar way. So being aware of this now and starting to put measures in place to control how AI is being used in your organization and comply with these regulations is a great place to start. And the ISO IEC 42001 standard that I touched on earlier, that works almost hand in hand with the EU AI Act. So if you are using that ISO standard as your governance framework, you can be sure that you are on the right path to complying with the EU AI Act. So I appreciate we've covered a lot of ground today in a relatively short space of time. I do want to leave you with a few takeaways from today. Firstly, I think it's fairly clear that AI is already here. It's not going to be going back in the box. And the chances are your people are probably already using it, whether or not you've got guardrails or policies in place. Governance really does matter. So taking some time to start thinking about how you want to control AI in your organization, making sure that's documented and your people are made aware of that is really important. What that does is that sets the foundations for then empowering your people to use AI in the right way and avoids any Trojan horses coming into your organization that could be potentially very damaging to your organization. You don't need to do everything overnight. There is a lot happening in the world of AI, and there's an element of peer pressure, thinking that we need to do everything all at once immediately. You don't. You just need to start that journey. Start by thinking about what your AI governance is going to look like. Start thinking about documenting your AI policy. Start thinking about educating your people on what your AI policy is, and then start thinking about how you're going to start really embracing AI and using these AI tools that you have decided are the ones your organization wants to use. That is not going to happen overnight. That will take some time, but start that journey today. And your people have a priority. Involve your people on the AI journey. This is a fantastic opportunity to get them involved. As I said earlier, as business leaders, you absolutely set the strategy, you set the direction, you set the tone, but get your people to help progress the organization on that journey. Get them involved. And those people that are currently using unauthorized AI tools, those people that are using shadow AI, they are potentially some of your best advocates and champions. So identify those people early, bring them on the journey, and help them to adopt AI in the right way that you feel is appropriate for your organization. Hopefully that's been really helpful today. I hope you're going away with a bit more awareness of some of the risks of AI, as well as the opportunities, and also a bit of a roadmap for where you can start looking to put in place some controls to help control how AI is being used within your organization. If you'd like to find out any more about how to create governance frameworks, how to create AI policies, how to create AI assistants, and how to start really supercharging your people through using AI, we are running a half-day AI Business Accelerator training program across the Southwest later this year. If you'd like to find out more, please do visit our website. It's southwestaisolutions.com/AI-accelerator. And there's a QR code on screen there, which should take you to the webpage. And we've got a bit of a cheeky offer. So if you'd like to save a bit of money, if you were interested in coming along to that course, if you use the offer code Shadow AI, you can get £50 off that course rather than it being $199. You can get it for $149 with that offer code, and we'd love to see you there. So please do check out that course if you'd like to find out more about adopting AI across your organization. And if you are looking for any support at all on your AI journey, we can absolutely help with everything we've talked about today. So in terms of putting in place AI governance frameworks, putting in place your AI policy, documenting that, and creating all your policy documents, we can absolutely support you and your team with creating that for you. AI training, yes, we do public AI training courses, but we can also come in and do in-house training for your team. We can train them on what your governance policies are, make sure they're all up to speed on that. But we can also train your team on how to use AI tools, things like Copilot, ChatGPT, any other AI tools they might be needing. We can absolutely help provide you and your people with training on that. A lot of what we do is consultancy based, so working with clients on a one-to-one basis. Every business is different, and every business will want to adopt AI in a different way. So we absolutely work with clients on a one-to-one basis to better understand how they want to adopt AI, and then help them to put in place the structures to make sure AI is being used in the most appropriate way for their organization. And we can absolutely help create AI assistants or AI agents. So really supercharging your people by creating AI assistants that can help with completion of certain tasks across the organization. So we can absolutely help with that as well. I really hope today's been helpful. Thanks ever so much. I will stick around over the next few minutes. If anyone's got any questions, please do put those in the chat. More than happy to stick around and answer those. Otherwise, thanks ever so much, and I hope to see you at an event in the future.